Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've heard a long and complex case, gentlemen, and it is now your duty to sit down to try and separate the facts from the fantasy. One man is dead. The life of another is at stake. If there is a reasonable doubt in your minds as to the guilt of the accused, then you must declare him not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then he must be found guilty. Whichever way you decide, the verdict must be unanimous. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. You are faced with a great responsibility. Thank you, gentlemen. The jury will retire.
You know something? It's hot. You'd think they'd at least air condition the place. I almost dropped dead in court.
Okay, gentlemen, everybody's here. If there's anything you want, I'm right outside. Just knock.
I never knew they locked the doors.
Sure they locked the door. What do you think?
Just never occurred to me.
6 days. They should have finished it in 2. Talk, talk, talk. Did you ever hear so much talk about nothing?
Well, I guess they're entitled.
Everybody gets a fair trial. That's the system. Well, I suppose you can't say anything against it.
How did you like that business about the knife? Did you ever hear a phonier story?
Well, look, you've got to expect it. You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I suppose. What's the matter? You got a cold?
A Lulu. These hot weather colds can kill you.
All right, gentlemen, let's take our seats.
Right, this better be fast. I've got tickets to the 7-year itch tonight. I must be the only guy in the whole world who hasn't seen it yet. Okay, Your Honor, start the show.
How about sitting down? Gentlemen at the window. How about sitting down?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father. Bing, just like that. Well, it's the element. They let kids run wild. Maybe it serves them right.
Is everybody here?
The old man's inside.
We'd like to get started.
Forgive me, gentlemen. I didn't mean to keep you waiting.
It's all right, find a seat. All right, now you gentlemen can handle this any way you want to. I mean, I'm not going to make any rules. If we want to discuss it first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote right now to see where we stand.
Let's vote now. Who knows, maybe we can all go home.
Yeah, let's see who's where. Right, let's vote now.
Anybody doesn't want to vote? Okay, all those voting guilty, raise your hands. 9, 10, 11. That's 11 for guilty. Okay, not guilty. 1. Right, okay, 11 to 1 guilty. Now we know where we are.
Somebody's in left field. You think he's not guilty?
I don't know.
I never saw a guiltier man in my life. You sat right in court and heard the same thing I did. The man's a dangerous killer. You could see it.
He's 19 years old.
That's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest. An innocent little 19-year-old kid. They proved it a dozen different ways. Do you want me to list them?
No.
Well, do you believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not. Maybe I don't.
So what's your vote not guilty for?
There was 11 votes for guilty. It's not so easy for me to raise my hand and send a boy off to die without talking about it first.
Who says it's easy for me?
No one.
What, just because I voted fast? I think the kid's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I don't want to change your mind. I just want to talk for a while. Look, this boy's been getting kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum, his mother dead since he was 9. That's not a very good head start. He's a tough, angry kid. You know why slum kids get that way? Because we knock them around on the head once a day, every day. I think maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? You know what the trial cost? His lucky he got it. Look, we're all grown-ups here. You're not going to tell us we're supposed to believe him knowing what he is. I lived among them all in my life. You can't believe a word they say. You know that.
I don't know that. What a terrible thing for a man to believe. Since when is dishonesty a group characteristic? You have no monopoly on the truth.
All right, it's not Sunday. We don't need a sermon.
What this man says is very dangerous.
I don't see any need for arguing like this. I think we ought to be able to behave like gentlemen.
Right!
If we're going to discuss this case, let's discuss the facts.
I think that's a good point. We have a job to do. Let's do it.
If you gentlemen don't mind, I'm going to close the window. Sorry, it was blowing on my neck. I may have an idea here. I'm just thinking out loud, but it seems like It seems to me that it's up to us to convince this gentleman that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we each took a minute or two, if we sort of try it out for size.
That sounds fair enough. Supposing we go once around the table.
Okay, let's start it off.
I guess you're first.
Oh, well, I just think he's guilty. I thought it was obvious. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's the Constitution. Fifth Amendment. You've heard of it.
Well, sure, I've heard of it. I know what it is. Anyway, I think he was guilty.
Okay, let's get to the facts. Number one, let's take the old man who lived on the second floor right underneath the room where the murder took place. At 10 minutes after 12 on the night of the killing, he heard loud noises in the upstairs apartment. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid say to his father, "I'm gonna kill you." A second later, he heard a body falling, and he ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running down the stairs and out of the house. Then he called the police. They found the father with a knife in his chest.
At the coroner fixed the time of death at around midnight.
Right, now what else do you want?
The boy's entire story is flimsy. He claimed he was at the movies. This is a little ridiculous, isn't it? He couldn't even remember what pictures he saw.
That's right, did you hear that? You're absolutely right. Look, what about the woman across the street? If her testimony don't prove it, then nothing does.
That's right. She saw the killing, didn't she?
Let's go in order.
Just a minute. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and can't sleep. It's hot in here. She looks out the window, and right across the street, she sees the kid stick a knife into his father. She's known the kid all his life. I know, right? His window is right opposite hers, across the L tracks, and she swore she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing elevated train.
Okay, and they proved in the court that you could look through the windows of a passing L train at night and see what's happening on the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you something. How come you believed her? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
You're a pretty smart fella, aren't you?
Now take it easy.
Come on, sit down. What are you letting him get you all upset for? Relax.
Let's calm down now. Number 5, it's your turn.
Well, passing.
That's your privilege. How about you?
I don't know. I started to be convinced, with the testimony from those people across the hall. Didn't they say something about an argument between the father and the boy around 7 o'clock at night? I mean, I can be wrong.
I think it was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock. They heard the father hit the boy twice, and they saw the boy walk angrily out of the house. What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't exactly prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I didn't say it proved anything.
Anything else?
No.
All right, how about you?
I don't know, most of it's been said already. We could talk about this all day, but I think we're wasting our time. Look at the kid's record. At 15, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He's been arrested for mugging. He was picked up for knife fighting. I think they said he stabbed the kid in the arm. This is a very fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him up regularly. He's used to fists.
So would I, a kid like that.
You're right. It's the kids. The way they are, They don't listen. I've got a kid. When he was 8 years old, he ran away from a fight. I saw him. I was so ashamed, I told him right out, "I'm gonna make a man out of you, or I'm gonna bust you up into little pieces trying." When he was 15, he hit me in the face. He's big, I haven't seen him in 3 years. Rotten kid. You work your heart out. All right, let's get on with it.
We're missing the point here. This boy, let's say he's a product of filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We can't help that. We're not here to go into the reasons why slums are breeding grounds for criminals. They are. I know it. You all know it. The children who come out of a slum background are potential menaces to society.
second. I used to live in a backyard that was filled with garbage. Maybe you still smell it on me.
Now let's be reasonable. There's nothing personal.
There is something personal.
Come on now. He didn't mean you, feller. Let's not be so sensitive.
I can understand the sensitivity.
Now let's stop the bickering. We're wasting time. It's your turn.
All right. I had a peculiar feeling about this trial. Somehow, I felt that the defense counsel never really conducted a thorough cross-examination. I mean, he was appointed by the court to defend the boy. He hardly seemed interested. Too many questions were left unasked.
What about the ones that were asked? For instance, let's talk about the cute little switch knife. You know, the one that fine, upright kid admitted buying.
All right, let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and look at it. I'd like to see it again, Mr. Foreman.
Verdict!
Not guilty!